Hi, I'm Jane, and together with Jodes, we are two proud feminists passionate about female empowerment. This podcast is our take on the real conversations, real issues, and real challenges we must stay focused on if we're going to inspire the next generation of female leaders, managers, and entrepreneurs to pick up the baton and continue the journey to equality. But be warned, there will be rants and the odd profanity, but mainly just lots of curious conversations, uplifting stories, great guests, and food for thought on the path we still have to travel. It is clear that our young girls need us to harness our gumption and to use our voices now to make the changes we all know need to happen. It's time to be a pioneer, not a passenger. To paraphrase the famous words of a female game changer, Hollywood's iconic Bette Davis, fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Okay, well, welcome to Jane and Jodes on One. We're on Series 2, Episode 4. And remember, we're talking about how the system is biased. Today, we're talking about how the system is silencing us. But a little warning up front. We've had a complete debate about this. We've gone full circle from should we speak out and speak our truth, and the truth that many other women believe in. But it's like, oh, should we say that? Should we not say that? So we've decided to say it. So we're going to speak our truth today. It's our truth. It's our opinions, which are based on our experience. So everybody's going to have a different experience. Some of you may agree with us. Some of you may not. And that is absolutely fine.
Yeah, but if we didn't voice it,
well,
then
we wouldn't be.
The irony would be that we're silenced.
Yeah. So we're not going to be silenced. And I think anybody that knows both of us will probably agree that we're not silent very often, are we?
And we don't want you to be silenced either.
No.
So we want this to inspire you to speak up too.
Absolutely. So some of the things we're going to talk about, I mean, the first thing is that we do seem to be losing the female-only spaces that we've had for maybe 20, 30 years. So I'm talking about female-only networks, female circles, female-only events, and female awards, female festivals, all these things where women were in the company of other women and felt confident to speak up, to speak their truth, to share, to support, to talk about good practice. In a lot of organisations now, this is seen as not necessary. This is looked down upon, and we've kind of been hijacked by the D&I agenda. And neither of us have an issue with the D&I agenda.
No, it's necessary.
It's absolutely necessary, but we just like to be part of it.
We want to be in it.
We'd like to be in it.
We are also part of the marginalised group.
Absolutely.
We are in the D&I category.
We are in the D&I category. Even though we may be 52% of the population.
We're not minority.
We're still marginalised in the world of work.
Yeah.
And so we still need to be in that. So in actually getting rid of all those female-only spaces, we are being silenced.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. Let's just take one of those places. I very rarely come across female networks in corporates now, whereas there used to be, women in business, women in retail, women in this, women in that. They're quite rare now. They are quite rare, and they're also open to men.
Yeah.
So any kind of organisation, any kind of awards. It's like PC now to say, and men can come too, with no qualification. So then you're going to get lots of men in the room. Some of those men are allies, without a doubt. And I have no problem being there. Some of them absolutely aren't.
Yes.
And they're there to subvert the process.
Yeah.
They're there to find out what's going on. So they can go back and report and say, right, guys, they're doing this or they're doing that. We need to kind of subvert that and we need to sort this out. Because they're threatened. They're threatened. I see lots of men now winning mainstream women's award categories. So they're not... It's
as
not
a male ally.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but it's not an allyship award.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a women's award and they're in the category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if it was an allyship award, brilliant. If it was a diversity award, brilliant. But it's not. It's a women's award. It's for women.
Yeah.
But there are men in the categories. So there's a little bit of confusion there as well.
The other thing that is this one's played out for me.
Yeah.
Right. So for those of you that don't know, some of you will, but I host an annual festival called Womanifest. Right. And it is a celebration of all things female, feminine, and womanly, which is, originally in 2020 was set up entirely for women. It was a women only event.
Yeah.
And obviously COVID happened and a few things changed, but when we kind of started the festival back up again, that became a bit of a challenge that, well, this isn't an inclusive space. You need to make this an inclusive space. And I found that really uncomfortable because actually I wanted to speak up for the fact that it is a space for women. And I didn't feel able to do that initially, So it has been something that I have worked with other groups around to make it an inclusive space for those that feel that they want to develop their femininity. So as a basic example, if there was a person who identified as non-binary, but actually, I stood fast and hard and I didn't move, and it wasn't easy to do. I was challenged quite a bit around, well, we can't really say it's like for, it's for femininity and womanly and female. I was like, but this festival cannot lose its purpose. It is primarily for women. However, we're an inclusive bunch and we're very welcoming. And therefore, if developing that side of you, or you feel like you sit across that, then by all means you can come and develop your femininity and be part of that. Even men can come to it, but if you come in, you better not be a misogynistic pig, because we will chuck you out. But if you're there to champion the cause and help and support and fly the flag, well, that's a different story. But that's been an uncomfortable journey. And actually, I've had other women, I've got a lot of comments online about some of that. And it wasn't just about gender, by the way. It was about other D&I groups too, which, it's important for us to be inclusive around all of those other marginalisation kind of characteristics for women. But the way some of that came about was not very pleasant at all. There wasn't a lot of curiosity. It was led by people who weren't there. And it was an attack that I wasn't included in. There was certainly no sisterhood around that. And that was hard. That was really hard to go through. And I got messages from many other women who witnessed that online that said, "Oh my God, are you okay?
Did this happen after the festival?
Yeah, but I can't believe you've been attacked in this way."
No, I can't.
So, but my response was, right, okay, I'm going to front up to this. I'm not going to be silenced. I arranged a Zoom and I invited anybody who wasn't comfortable with what I'd done or wanted to know more. Because actually, I put a lot of effort in to make sure that it was diverse and it was inclusive. And I wanted people to know that. So I put that on for people to come and talk to me about that, which, I put myself in quite an exposed position. No,
nobody showed.
One person who had instigated it.
Okay.
So, interesting, but that was unpleasant for me. Absolutely. To put that back in the nutshell that it is. That was a challenge to me that wasn't very pleasant.
No. You were trying to people were trying to silence you.
Around doing something that was specifically for that group.
I mean, I've had it many times with Girls Out Loud when women and men will say, "Well, what about the boys? What about the boys?" And I've had to kind of go through this justification of why it's about the girls, because the girls are the marginalised groups and the girls don't have equity. And, although I accept that there may be some need with the boys, then the boys need male role models. They don't need me. They don't need.
They're not going to listen to you, to be fair.
They need male role models. So, if you're that concerned about it, go and develop it.
Yeah, and we all need role models that we feel represented with,
absolutely.
And I don't think we'd find any group, marginalised or not, that would disagree with that. We have it with some of the girls in schools, don't we, when we're looking for big sisters for them. If we're in a school that has got quite a lot of Indian girls in the year group, then we work hard to find them role models where they feel represented, where they can see a version of themselves being successful.
Yeah, how hard is that? It's tough. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Well, we have to work 10 times harder to get those Black women and Asian women into schools than we do.
Yeah.
You know, and we're getting there, but it takes 10 times more recruiting and promoting to find them.
Yeah.
It really does. So, I thought I would tell the story of my lesbian friend because, you know, I think there's this thing called intersectionality, isn't there? Where, you know, you're a lesbian, you're a woman, you could be Black, you might have some neurodiversity going on. So you kind of tick lots of different boxes. But, you know, she's very uncomfortable with this D&I agenda. And I remember having a conversation with her where she said to me, you know, Jane, I am a lesbian, but I'm a woman first. And the problem with being a lesbian in the D&I networks, when you go along to the LGBT groups, they are run by gay men. And the majority of the activity is around gay men. So you feel marginalised already. You feel like you don't fit into that group. So for me, the most important marginalised group for me is being a woman.
Okay.
Now, that was her opinion. Okay, that might not be the opinion of every lesbian out there.
One example.
That was her, and I just found that quite interesting.
Yeah, but it breaks the boundary around. Most people would go to the fact that she is a lesbian first.
Yeah.
When for her, if anybody asked her, they're like, I think they might be surprised to hear that
that's where she sits.
Yeah, I think it would.
Yeah.
Which tells me then that there might be other people who feel the same, but don't necessarily speak up about that.
Yeah, and she is vocal about it in her organisation.
Yeah.
She is head of D&I. And so she's really passionate about keeping that female network.
Yeah.
And she's had to work really hard.
Yeah.
And particularly as a lesbian, because most people say to me, yeah, but you're gay. You've got the LGBT network. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm also a woman.
I also want my women's network.
Yeah, that's where she feels safest. That's where she feels, you know, her sisterhood is. That's where she feels safer.
Yeah,
to have those conversations.
And this is not about saying that any one marginalised network group trumps any of the others.
Absolutely not.
But it is about saying we need one.
We need one, and we're being taken out of the game, aren't we?
Yeah, you know, I used to get to do loads of gigs for women's networks. You know, go in and run development days for them, specific workshops and things like that.
Gotta really search for them now.
Well, and if I find them, the budget's dried up. They're not they're having to run it as an extracurricular activity as well as their day job, and they can't do it.
Yeah.
And so they're going under.
Yeah.
Not because
so it's not being valued, is it? It's like, we don't need it anymore. We're not putting any money into it. You can run it if you want.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's not something that we see as a priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all the stuff around the networks we wanted to talk about. And you know, equality, is it done?
No.
Is it done, Jodes?
No, but this does come up, and this is for me another thing around being silenced is I've come across a number of people, men and women, so this is not a man thing necessarily, who think that we've got equality.
Yeah.
You know, they don't necessarily get the whole equity equality piece.
No.
Right, but they're like, what are you on about? And I'll tell you where it comes up. So obviously I do run a women's network. It's called Leading Ladies Society. But we have local meetups, which I advertise in local Facebook groups every month.
Yeah.
And every single month without fail, I will get comments on any of those posts going, why is this for women only? And I will respond, in a helpful, purposeful way to explain that actually these are still really useful spaces because we haven't got equity yet, and we haven't got equality. Yes, you have. You've had equality for ages. So there's this kind of like, I don't know what it is, a blinker to some of this stuff somewhere along the line there, and I guess it depends what the stories you feed yourself.
Yeah. And the stories the organisation you work for feed as well.
Yeah.
Because, it's that broad brush, isn't it? Equality is this broad brush. So what a lot of men will say, and women, is like, well, everybody can go for that opportunity here. It's the same opportunity. Everybody can go for that job. You've got as much right to go for that job as I have. So so it's equal. But
we're not starting from the same position, are we?
No.
And that's the issue. And I think people haven't got the depth.
Yeah.
International Women's Day this year was a pretty important one, in that I'm hoping it did open people's eyes to the difference between equality and equity. you know, and actually you can't really get to equality until you've got equity. So until that happens, I think I speak on behalf of both of us that says we need a women's network, and we'll continue to do girls' work.
Girls' work, yeah.
Until
we've got it.
You know,
and
then
we've got it, it's like job done, and we can do something else, can't we? That'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen in our lifetime, but we'll definitely move it on as much as we can while we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're talking about how the system is biased and how the system is silencing us. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what's happened post-COVID and hybrid working.
Yeah, because I think that has really chucked things up in the air, hasn't it? It's kind of thrown us, feels like it's thrown us back a bit to like 1950s type times, a little, but although women didn't have jobs like this in the 1950s, but this hybrid working thing. And I'm in this category, so this isn't me talking about other people. This has happened to me numerous times, is that because I'm working from home all of the time, most of the time now, I'm juggling all these plates, juggling all these balls, spinning all these plates, and I'm up from 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm still going at 10 o'clock at night, and it's all just blurring into one. There's no lines, there's no definition around it, there's no stop.
And yet, women, so many women say to me, oh, hybrid working is great because it's great for my work-life balance. When I ask them to explain that to me, it's really not helping your work-life balance one iota.
No.
It's actually making it harder because you are at home. There's an expectation that you will have the dinner ready, that you will have put the washing out, that you will have gone and picked the kids up from school, that you will have, got their tea ready and so on and so forth. All these things because you're at home. And the assumption is, well, you're at home, aren't you? Yeah, but I'm working.
Yeah,
I know, but you're at home. We could do that as well.
And actually, even if you've not got that expectation from somebody else, the other person that you live with, because actually my husband isn't like that with me, but I've got like that on my own.
Yes, I'm at home. You've got this kind of like definition of what being at home means.
And I've brainwashed myself that I've got a good work-life balance until the point where I've burnt out and I felt like I've lost my marbles and I have a bit of a meltdown and everything comes crashing down around my ear rolls. And then David's like, what's happened? Because I haven't said anything about it because I've been doing all the things all the time. He never expected me to do them, but I never asked for any help either. And I don't know whether so many of us have got conditioned into that's the way things are supposed to be.
So we're into Superwoman territory here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which we talked about in
I have
series
a 3
1.
monthly cycle of this.
Yeah, we are. And then we go, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And then we try and do something about it, and then we gradually get
gradually it sneaks back in. Bites you on the arse when you're not looking.
The other thing about this, though, for me, is that this is a way of us being silenced, because if you're hybrid working, you're not in the office. If you're not in the office, you're invisible. Okay. So the fact that you're at home working really hard, nobody's suggesting you're not. Nobody can see that, and we've done a power-up session around this. That visibility is the key, the absolute key to you getting promoted.
Absolutely,
to you getting that.
It's not your performance. What do you say? Performance is 10%.
Yeah, your visibility is 60, your personal brand's 30. But your personal brand and visibility, you've got to be in the game, and hybrid working takes you out of the game
because you're behind your PC, your laptop at home,
and it kind of like compounds this sexist narrative that you want to be home anyway, don't you? Really, like women want to work. We want to be home, really, don't you? Want to be picking the kids up from school and looking after your husband.
Flexibility.
You only want to do that anyway. You don't really want the big job. So it unless you're really aware of that and you're doing something practically to make sure that you are invisible, then there's a danger that you're being completely silenced. Completely silenced. So it does worry me that, when women are like, oh, it's great working at home, I can put the washer on before I start work, it's great, everything's like, it's not great, because like you say, there's this expectation because you're at home, so you work yourself into the ground.
then you're working late at night because you might have taken an hour off in the day.
But then I get told off for working in the evening.
And women are really honest. So if you've taken this hour off, you'll put 2 back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, for that hour that you went and picked the kids up and you took them for an ice cream and then walked through the park, the company's going to get another 2 hours off you. Yeah. So it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, and it needs to be, you know, really clearly thought out. Otherwise, it does nothing for your work-life balance. It feeds a very negative narrative, and it makes you invisible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But well, thinking about the world of work in that kind of corporate sense, there's something else around that about being silenced. I think this will resonate with loads of women, because actually a lot of my coaching clients come to me and this is what they present with. And it's that they are being told that they are too emotional in work.
Yeah.
You know, and that they need to sort that shit out. You know, you're too emotional in work. You know, and they come to me as if to say, can you cure me of being emotional and like strip me of all my emotion? You know, and I'm like, no, I want you to keep it.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think a lot of corporate organisations have become really cold and clinical and lack personality and any kind of humanity to them. And what makes us human is our emotions. You know, it's the one thing that stands out about us as creatures is that we've got this emotional intelligence. And you know what? For me, I believe that emotional intelligence comes easier for women. I think it's much more naturally innate.
Yes.
That's not to say men aren't, but I think on the whole, it comes to us a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I don't want women trying to leave their emotions at the door, drop those emotional bags at the door and come in and be a robot while they're in the office. I want them to be able to use that emotion purposefully.
Yeah.
Which kind of starts to take us into a bit of solution territory a bit. It's like, what's the answer to this? Because to leave our emotions at the door, that's silencing. That's saying you can't have a voice. You can't express those things. Well, actually, they're really important. You know, and I don't want any leaving those at the door. But what is important is that you can use them purposefully, you know, and the way that you do that is by developing that a bit of emotional intelligence, if you haven't got it already, about regulating, which means I can spot when I'm experiencing a feeling.
Yeah.
Now, normally I go, right, where is it in my body?
Yeah.
And what's the sensation? And I've learned to label those things.
Okay.
So when I feel it in my tummy,
and
it feels like a bit like a washing machine, I'm worried or concerned about something.
Yeah.
If I get butterflies and flaps in my chest, something's like making me anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's up here in my head, it might be that I'm really cross or frustrated about something. You know, there's all these different emotions that it could be. But then when I can do that, my job is to describe it, not display it.
Yeah.
So instead of having an emotional outburst and going batshit crazy where everyone thinks you're a deranged lunatic, and then you get the feedback, is more to be able to vocalize it and say, right, team, just stop a minute. And want to really let you know that I am so disappointed and I'm quite angry that you've missed this deadline. It's not okay that you've done that. You know, you've put my credibility on the line and this team's credibility on the line, out of order. You know, I land my message, but I don't lose it. I'm still purposeful with it. Okay. So that's number one thing, I think.
A measured approach.
Yeah. Okay. But the other things, really, there's more, isn't there? And I think it brings us back to the sisterhood point.
Every single podcast we do brings us back to this. I think we could run courses on this, couldn't we?
There's an idea.
I know. So this sisterhood thing, and again, teach the girls. Teach the girls this as well. I was talking to somebody about this today, because if we think we've got no sisterhood, they've got zero. Absolute zero. So we need to see sisterhood as a habit. If we get into a habit of supporting each other, then it becomes easier for us to speak out.
Yeah.
Because if you know people have got your back, so you're in the room and something happens, if you know that there are people in that room that have got your back because they're part of your support network, then you feel more confident going, can I just say, I think that's a little bit inappropriate, or that's making me feel X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So the more you support other women, then the easier it's going to be for you to speak your truth.
Yeah.
It is a habit. So sisterhood, again, is the number one for me, for us to collectively speak up, collectively find our voice, and collectively stop being silent.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's a big one, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the other one is to reevaluate this work-life balance in relation to hybrid working.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be
Think
women,
about it.
yeah, who might have the same realization that I had.
Yeah, think
You know, I
about
want to
it.
be really kind of like upfront with that. I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here claiming to be perfect,
Yeah.
and I have this revelation every 3 months.
Yeah.
At some
Yeah.
point, I need to learn the lesson for
Yeah.
good. But hey
Yeah.
ho.
But yours is about the work-life balance, isn't it? You know, as people that work at home, like we do, you know, there is a danger of not compartmentalizing work and stopping.
Yeah, but it's
There's
the thing
that.
though. I've fed myself a narrative. I've created a
Yeah.
belief that
Yeah.
I've thought is an empowering belief.
Yeah.
i.e.,
Yeah, and
I've got
it's
this
not.
cool work-life balance.
Yes.
When actually, when I step back away from it, it's
Yes.
not empowering, it's limiting.
Yes.
It's a limiting belief that I've got
Yes.
work-life
Yes.
balance.
But you're not silenced by that.
No, but
So it's not the same as like if you're a corporate woman and you're at home,
yeah,
and you're not in that office being seen, because you don't need to be seen
no,
in that way.
I don't. But there might be other women that might have the same revelation as me,
Yes.
who are in that corporate
Yes.
situation,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
might then put 2 and 2 together and think,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not visible.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
they
having
may
a
not,
voice.
absolutely, and they may not see the result of that for many years.
Yeah.
For many, many years, because you know they won't be being put forward for promotion, or they
Yeah.
won't be on the panel for this or whatever, and they'll suddenly realize, well, hang on a minute, why are you not seeing that? Well, where are you?
Yeah. And the classic warning sign, I think, is when you sat at home at your desk and then you know something's niggling you, and you think, no, I don't know what to do about it. Oh, I'm not saying anything. You procrastinate over addressing things. It's easier to put them off when you work from home.
Yeah.
So that's a biggie.
Yeah, because you're not in front of it, are you?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, the last one on all of this is about sponsorship.
Yeah.
Linked to that hybrid working, you know, because when it's quite good to hybrid work,
yeah,
providing it isn't limiting your visibility. And
Yeah.
one thing we see time and time again, don't we, when we do Big Sister training for Girls Out Loud, when we get all those corporate women in the room and we talk to them about their own visibility,
Yeah.
and none of them have got a sponsor,
No.
yet many men,
Most of them don't even understand what it is.
no. But actually, that, you know, it's about having somebody in the organisation who is advocating for you,
Yeah.
who is your poster boy or girl,
Yeah.
who's
in the
bigging
rooms
you
that
up.
you're not in,
Yeah.
who sits around the table that you're not round, so that they can put you forward and, you know, say, do you know what, Jane would be great at
Yeah.
that. Have you thought about Jane?
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't think about Jane because she's not in the room, but Jane's sponsor is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
So
thing, isn't it?
and you know, there are a lot of good men and women out there that would be fantastic sponsors. So go and ask them.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a woman sponsor.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's somebody that you trust, that you respect, that's in a position that, you know, is probably the next one for you.
Yeah.
Or the next couple for
And
you.
someone who sees your potential.
Yeah, and
believes in you.
And it's a lot of the time it's an informal relationship. It's not formal.
No.
Go and ask them.
Yeah.
Say, you know, I really respect you. I really admire you. Do you fancy being my sponsor?
Yeah.
Go and ask them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, here endeth the lesson
Yeah.
on this one. So, you know what? If some of that's triggered some thought for you, then maybe it is time to think about how you can purposefully use your voice. Is there something that you maybe think it would be wise to speak up about?
Do not let the system silence you.
Yeah. So on that note, we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Jane and Jodes on One. Until next time, remember, sisterhood matters. Together, we are bold, brave, fierce, and unstoppable.